Hello guys, today we will continue Apollo Justice Ace Attorney. So, it was in the last video, it was kinda like very fun, wasn't it? we see, we kinda like see Mr.Wright versus Mr. Gavin. And we as a defense of Mr. Wright, we must defend him, or following Mr. Gavin said, we must prove that Mr. Wright was lying. But anyway, we're gonna play it right now. Continue. Save point. Appetite before murder. That evening, Christoph and I had dinner. We sat at the table in this photograph. You had dinner with Mr. Gavin? Yes, he danced with me at the Boards Ball Club quite frequently. We were enjoying a usual dinner at our usual spot. As usual. Usual? We always eat at the table closest to the piano. I see. Where Mr. Smith was sitting? So the plates and such on the table were from your dinner? Indeed. The remnant of my meal with Christoph. We dined for 2 hours, then Christoph left. After that, rest. 5 minutes. So the two of them could have passed in the restaurant during that time. That would have been a fateful encounter, to be sure. Oh, Mr. Wright, what was it you said? Christoph Gavin and Sadie Smith may have met. I believe I did say that. Here I was all nervous about this meeting. And now we hear they just passed in the hall. That does seem a little weak as a pretense for murder. Oh, it would be, if that was all that really happened. Come on, Mr. Wright. What are you hiding this time? Okay, press. About this failed trap. This is the same trap that Miss Orgowly mentioned. The plan was simple, elegant. Really, you see, we set up a trap of sorts. I was to plant a card in Wright's pocket beforehand, and then deal 5 aces during one of their games. When their hand were revealed, Smith would call him out and search Wright. He will then pull out the planted card and the trap would snap shut. Just like that, the legend would be dashed to pieces. Yes, a harmless prank. Yes, a harmless prank, in a sense. It was by a quirk of fate that I happened to discover it. A quirk. I happened to put my hand in my pocket and found a card. The card she planted? Yes, I snuck a peek at it and found it was the 5 of hearts. I had a feeling something might happen, so I disposed of the card before the game. Dispose? Where? There was an empty bottle of grape juice I had been drinking right beside me. I threw the card inside the bottle. An empty bottle of grape juice. The murder weapon? Yes, I rolled it up and shoved it in. The color glass makes it hard to see. A battle of wits between the deceiver and the would-be deceived. That sounds like a terrific drama. A card inside the murder weapon? That's strange. Did the police miss it in their investigation? Maybe I take a look. Mr. Wright, the pokerhead of courtroom number 3 approved of this battle of wits. Please revise your testimony with this new information. Press. In the bottle, I perceived my opponent's intent immediately. I used to entrapment, you see, I know what was coming. So you struck first. I like that. I know every trick in the book. They don't work on me. At least when you get lucky and stick your hand in your pocket, they don't. Girl, okay, I don't need to read that. You made the call to the police from the first floor of the restaurant, correct? Exactly. Cell phone don't get a signal down in the hideout. Was anyone else on the first floor at the time? Not a soul. It was the middle of the night after all. So there in the darkened restaurant, I called the cops. After making the call, I returned to the hideout. It didn't seem right to leave the injured waitress alone. Press. And when you returned, the victim was already dead. Yes. I admit I was a little startled when I walked in. Little? I was bleeding from his forehead after all. I guess I better started too if I walk in on scene like that. Did you explain why you called Mr. Gavin? I obviously gotten involved in a rather sticky affair, and I figured Christoph Flaw's office will give me a friend rate for my defense fees. Glad to hear you intend to pay. Oh, I pay in full. Oh, I pay in full, Christoph. It was I who got you involved after all. You may find the price of your defense quite high, my good friend. Yum yum yum. You may find the price of your defense quite high, my good friend. Quite high. Is this the truth that Mr. Wright was talking about? Justice, you know what you have to do. He's lying. Expose him now. Yes, sir. I have to think what Mr. Wright trying to tell me with this testimony. The truth has to be in there somewhere. Okay, I know I must present something, so I will save. Check right now. So if I check it, will I like broken the bottle or something? Will broken the bottle or not? Wait. Examine. But the bottle is completely empty. Okay, now I will present in. Wait, no. Present. Mr. Wright, if I may. Yes. I've examined the bottle and I don't see any cards in here. No? What, Mr. Wright? Surely isn't all you have to say for yourself. I can't say that I know what happened to the card. I did put it in that bottle, however. Perhaps a 5th person came and took it out. Ooh, and a 6th person could have. Mr. Gavin, Mr. Wright is your client. My apologies, Colonel. I won't have you disparaging our investigation either. We look inside that bottle. There was nothing. So what is going on? Is Mr. Wright hoodwinking us again? Or did the car just disappear? In any case, please continue the cross-examination. I'm afraid decisive contradiction call for decisive evidence. Oh! Push him harder, Justice. Break him. And just you and the witness in the ring. Go for the KO. Why do I get the feeling we're not on our client's side anymore? I mean, you are not wrong. Save again. Continue. Save point. Okay, now I will present. Wait. This one?
Objection!
Mr. Wright, if I may. Yes. Take a look at this photograph of the crime scene. See the victim here? He's wearing a hat. I don't think you could see blood on his forehead. Good point. Justice, next time you point out an inconsistency, put a little oomph into it. Mr. Wright, can you explain this to the court? I forgot to mention something. I was the one who put that hat on his head. Eh? You? You put the hat on the dead man's head? He's worried through our entire poker game. After calling the police, when I returned to the scene, his head was in full view, shining bright, just like in this photograph. And I picked his head up off the floor and put it on his head. What? Why you do such a thing like that? All I can say is, I'm sorry, but that's the only thing I touched at the scene of the crime. At the crime scene. So Miss Orly didn't see it? It being the victim's he said. I think not. She was out of court. I believe I was the only one who witnessed his head. Here we go again. Mr. Gavin? Pardon. It just seems that our client is determined to lie his way through this case. Hey, he's still our client, isn't he? I believe that's enough of that, Mr. Gavin. This witness testimony is more like a travesty. It's riddled with lies. I'm beginning to see how you came to lose your attorney badge 7 years ago. Well, you certainly have a unique way of treating your clients, Christoph. I never knew. I believe it was you who threw the first stone. Mr. Wright, if you intend to ever tell the truth about this case, it's now or never. Don't be misled. I haven't told a single lie here. And I noticed the trap. I put the card in the bottle to dispose of it. And when I put the hat on the victim's head, let's just say I had a reason for doing that as well. The reason? The reason is right here. Your cell phone? That night, recall that I spoke with defense attorney Gavin after calling the police? Just in case, I recorded our conversation. What's this? Now that we're all here, I see no reason why I shouldn't play it back for the court. Christoph, I seem to be in a bit of trouble. What's this? Game not going well? Something like that. That gentleman who's challenged you, he turned out to be good. He turned out to be dead. Someone hit him hard. You mean someone cracked that flawless bone china plate? It wasn't you, was it? Me, please. The cops should be here any minute. I'm in your hand. Should it come to that? Bone china plate? A kind of porcelain, very smooth and shiny, and not plate but paint. I believe he was referring to a certain gentleman's balding forehead. The court appreciates the defense discretion in not indicating my forehead. Wait a second, something not right about that phone call. So after Mr. Gavin had dinner with you, he left the Borsball Club? No, certainly. And then how did he know? When did he see this bone china plate? Oh, that's right. Yes, That was when I began to my good friend in a different light. Troubled, I returned to the crime scene, and when I spot Mr. Smith head again, I realized exactly what was wrong. Well, Mr. Gavin, the stage has been set. Perhaps you would like to explain this to the court? Exactly how did you come by your privileged knowledge of the victim's head? So this is the reason why you put the victim's head back on? Your point, Mr. Gavin? It comes down to this, has it? Phoenix, right? Order! I will have order, Mr. Payne. Yes, Your Honor. I believe this court has been left with no other choice. Are you prepared to hear defense attorney Gavin's testimony? Well, as a prosecutor, Very well, we break for 10 minutes, after which Mr. Gavin will take the stand for a cross-examination. Are we all clear on that? Crystal clear, Your Honor. Very well. This will be the final recess for the day. Mr. Gavin and Mr. Wright are both in the judge's chamber. We have been taught today will turn out like this. May I? Oh, what? Hello, sir. Please pick a card. What's all this about? Is this one okay? Excellent. I have a message for you. The last hand is about to be played. You need a trump card to make it. A trump card? The card you have chosen is magical. Use it wisely and the game is yours. That's all. An ace. Where do I remember that card from? Mr. Smith's hand has 3 aces and Mr. Wright's 2 is 5 aces in all. It is true, I have seen it, the 5th ace. That was cheating, I swear to you. The missing 5th ace. Wait, this blood of red. Is this blood? You have your trump card. Now it's up to you to cut the deck and draw the truth. My father's fate is in your hand. I know you can do it. This blood-stained card is my trump card for finding the truth. Well. I fell deep into thought as my mind raced to understand what this all means. That girl, I've seen her recently, but where? Mr. Wright's locket! That's when I made the connection. Court will now reconvene. Defense attorney Christoph Gavin, will you please take the stand? Oh, why he's so handsome even though he was just standing there. Now then, if you will, Mr. Payne. Yes, Your Honor. Will the witness state his name and occupation? Is this first necessary, Your Honor? Believe me, far stranger things have gone on in this courtroom. Fine, I play along. First, there's one thing we need to have made clear. How did you know about the secret beneath the victim's head? By secret, I'm guessing you mean the fact that Mr. Smith was bald. Forgive my curiosity, but what is it about this fellow's head? The honor seems to have an incoordinate interest in it.
Objection!
What? I will call it incoordinate, Mr. Gavin. Mr. Wright! What do you think you're doing, right? Wow, things sure look different from the other side. You know what I mean, Apollo. This song! Speaking of looking from the other side, let's consider something for a second. The victim wore that hat all night, never once taking it off, except for that one time. That one time being the instant he was hit. Oh, When Mr. Wright returned from reporting the crime, the head was lying on the floor. Mr. Wright picked it up and placed it on the victim's head. In other words, in order to have seen Mr. Smith's bald head, you would have had to be at the scene of the crime, at the time of the crime. In other words, you have to be the real killer. Is what you're trying to say? Not bad, Apollo. Mr. Gavin, I'm afraid that I haven't been entirely honest with the court. What? Oh, I assure you, I had the noblest of intention. I did it all to protect my client, Mr. Wright. Yet I was afraid in the current situation I see little reason to hide anything. Very well, allow me to tell you the truth of what happened that night. Finally, you may begin your Finally, you may begin your testimony. Tell us, how were you involved in that event of that fateful night? That fateful night. The rage I sent in that mansion that night troubled me. So I returned to the club. I went down to the basement and peeked in through the little window to the hideout. It must have been right after the murder took place. The victim was dead as he appears in the photo. A bald head, an unconscious girl, and Wright holding a bottle in his hand. I sensed that was not the best place for me to be at the time, so I left. That's when the call came from Wright. So you witnessed the murder? For better or worse, I missed the actual moment of the deed. Mr. Gavin, may I remind you that you are on Mr. Wright's defense team? Your testimony is clearly disadvantageous to your client. What else could I say? I'm standing on the witness stand after all. So you are Mr. Gavin. And you had to testify as you just did. You had to tell them you saw the scene of the crime through that little window. Mr. Wright, you had to say that because that was the only probable window of opportunity, right, Apollo? Oh! Mr. Wright, the defense should do the cross-examination, not the defendant. Mr. Justice, are you prepared? Yes, Your Honor. I can't believe I'm going up against Mr. Gavin. This trial is getting weirder and weirder. And now I will save. Okay, that's it for today, guys. Bye-bye.